Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you. Sorry for our tech delay. Welcome to our September 10th. Thank y'all for being here. Alyssa, did you join it or lead us in the play? Sure. Sorry.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, would you please remind us of our goals for our district?
Yes, School District 44 has 4 main goals for our district. Number 1 is each student will improve academically each year. Number 2 is our schools will be safe, inclusive, and welcoming. We will strengthen family and community engagement and support partnerships for student learning. And our final goal is we'll maintain and improve our facilities to meet the current and future needs of our students, staff, and community.
Thank you very much. Are there any revisions to tonight's agenda? Shannon's on his way. I think he's working on parking. Sorry. Any public comment? He doesn't look like we have any public correspondence attached to this agenda. Approval of minutes are attached. You can have time to review those. Katie wasn't here, so she's not here. I know you're concerned. Okay.
I'll second.
Moved by Quincy, seconded by Elizabeth, all in favor? That is everybody minus Katie, because she wasn't here, and Shannon, she's not currently in the building. Jay, it's your, I guess, first official school session.
Yeah.
Student reference trustee reports.
Go to the footing.
No, you can stay there,
Oh.
because you have a microphone.
You have a mic.
Yep.
All right.
Ooh.
So I figured I'd kind of just start off with a district-wide announcement. Obviously, we're back at school, so accompanying that, we have the back to school bash on Thursdays, 12. It'll be right up here in the middle school lawn. I'm sure, as all of you know, there will be food and drinks, games for all the kids, etc. Just a great way for families and the students to kind of come back to school, have a fun way to see each other. However, I was just informed that due to weather, this may be canceled. They will find out on the day of. So then going over to the high school, back to school. On our first day, we had the freshman orientations. That was just in the morning. We had the freshmen come in while the upperclassmen were not coming into the school until later in the afternoon. We had 33 members of our student outreach committee give tours of the school to freshmen, kind of just showing them the ropes and giving them a student's perspective of the school, what to know, anything about teachers, lockers, schedules, etc. So that was a great way to show our new freshmen what school is like at the high school. Next, also at the high school, school is fully back in swing. We have clubs that are up and running. Classes are set, schedules are locked in. We have a lot of participation with our fall activities. That being said, we have 241 students who went out for our fall athletics. For boys soccer, we have 45 people, girls soccer, 43, football, 79, volleyball, 31, cross country, 21, and golf, 22. And so far, most of these varsity sports, as well as the JV teams, are doing pretty good with their seasons. New change to the school this year. We had a little bit of a schedule change. We had base camp, which is pretty much just a little bit like a study hall, but we structured a little bit differently this year. It's going to be another way that we can maximize students' productivity. We're going to be giving them weekly planners every week, helping them to plan out their weeks, giving them the resource to go visit other teachers should they need the help, and just kind of guiding students along who might need a little bit more help. And giving teachers another great way to get in connection with these students. Also going on this week was the iReady testing for underclassmen. That will also happen again in the spring on the day that the juniors are doing their ACT testing. And this is pretty much just a good way to get a base level where students are at. It's just a general aptitude test, and we can look at that for the rest of the year and guide our education based off of that. Coming forward in the month, we have the Teacher PIR Day on September 30th, where the teachers will be learning about new personalized learning opportunities and how they can capitalize on really teaching to the student, not to the class, and making sure that each student's education is prioritized as an individual, as well as learning about the new Magic School AI program, which will be instituted throughout the district, I believe, not just the high school, which is just a great way for students and teachers alike to get to know AI and see its benefits. Coming on down to the middle school, it began with the WMS expectations tour for 5th and 6th grade, just kind of showing them the ropes of what life is like at middle school. That was also accompanied by the 7th and 8th grade assembly, and both of those were just to, once again, show the students what it's like at the school and to give them a good kickoff of the year. They also reviewed the cell phone policy, just going over that briefly. It's phones off at all times, put away in lockers to avoid all distractions. Just a great way to stay away from technology during school. They were also doing iReady testing. That is a district-wide thing that will be going on through Moldown Middle School and the high school, just getting a baseline so that we can improve on that and get our students learning what they really need to be learning, not doing things that they already know. For the athletics at the middle school, there's been lots of participation in cross country, volleyball, and football. Over 200 kids participating, so great numbers, just like the high school. And then also the new intramurals coordinator, Mr. Snipes, has seen lots of participation from the 5th and 6th graders with their sports and intramurals during recess. Coming on down to Moldown, once again, just another great start to the year. A little bit of a change to the schedule. They have more instructional time in the morning, and learning is always prioritized in the morning, so it's more important that we have that. Pretty much what happened was recess and lunch were flipped, which isn't that big of a difference for us, but as an elementary student, that's quite a big change. So that's, that's something they're adjusting to. There was also an implementation of the new English language arts program, which is called CKLA, or the Core Knowledge Language Arts Program. Pretty much it just teaches students skills in reading, writing, listening, and speaking, while also building students' knowledge and vocabulary in literature, history, geography, and science. And studies show that it statistically has significant benefits as compared to normal school curriculums. It is a little bit more challenging, but we do expect a lot of our students. So hopefully that will be able to benefit them throughout the year. Also going on in Moldown is the iReady testing to get those base levels of education, and the DIBELS reading assessments, just to kind of see where they're at for reading. So overall, throughout the district, it seems that all students and staff are happy from what I heard from my reports and interviews, and everyone is motivated and ready for what should be a challenging but exciting year. Thank you.
Very professional.
You are hired. Any questions? Are there any holes?
This is really good report.
But that's full Jake. You set the bar high for yourself. Oh, a little lower, buddy. You got 9 more months.
That was phenomenal. Thank you so much for putting that together. Yes, that was awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's always a highlight of our meetings is knowing what's going on in the school building. So thank you.
Yeah, glad I can tell you.
Doesn't look like there's anybody here online, but I will ask anyway. WEA or WCA report? All right, moving right along then into our discussion and action items. First up is our early literacy program highlight with Ms. Lisa Bloom. Say you could do it for me.
Jessica, come on up.
All right.
I'll give a quick little introduction and then I'll let you take it away. from there.
Sounds good.
If you remember last spring, the legislature passed House Bill 352, which was an early literacy targeted intervention program. That had 3 parts to it. There was a home-based program, a summer jumpstart program, and a classroom-based program. Whitefish decided that we were going to pursue the classroom-based program, and we wanted to target those early literacy skills for 4-year-olds. So we set about creating a new program. And part of that was to hire Jessica. She's one of my colleagues from second grade, and I think the world of her. And Jessica is our new early literacy teacher for our 4-year-olds. Just a couple notes before I give it to Jessica and she can tell you about her program. The 4-year-olds had to be for on or before September 10th, and the screening had to be done by the end of June. So Jessica was able to screen 27 students. 5 of them did not qualify. 2 did not meet age restrictions, either too young or too old. 1 was enrolled in kindergarten. 9 qualified but declined to participate in the program, which left her with, I think, 10 or I
No,
think
it's 10.
11.
Yeah, it
Is
was 11, but then 1 didn't show up, so.
Okay, so now she's at 10. She has 2 half-day programs, so she's got 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, and I'm going to let her visit with you and give you a little bit more details about what she does.
Great.
Yes,
Thank you,
Jessica.
Lisa.
You bet.
So first off, I want to say thank you for approving my hire to this position. It's really a dream job for me. I loved teaching second grade and other early elementary grades before coming to Moldown. But I'm really passionate about teaching little kids, and reading is really the thing I care about the most and that I just to geek out on. So it's a dream job for me. So yeah, Lisa already mentioned that there's a half day, there are 2 half-day groups. I have 7 in the morning because that was a more popular choice for parents, and 3 in the afternoon. In the afternoon group, we do join with the preschool special ed program for some playtime and recess so that they have other peers to be around, other 4-year-olds. But in the classroom learning setting, the 3 of them are doing great. And there, we are fortunate to have adopted CKLA as our core curriculum for Moldown. And it includes an early literacy program. So it includes a program for pre-K, which is so wonderful because then they can have that continuity starting when they're 4 years old. That will help them prepare them for exactly what they're going to be doing in kindergarten. So I feel very fortunate that that's the program that we chose, and it's been going really great. The first day of school, I did a little kind of open house and gave the parents also the option of the evening open house along with the rest of the school. And then we started on the second day of school. And that first couple of days, we were just learning about how to be in school rules, and reading a lot of stories and learning about different feelings we might have about starting school. And then the following week, I dove into CKLA, and it's been going really great. I think it's really age appropriate and engaging. There are 2 main parts to CKLA. There's a listening and learning section, which is kind of the read aloud and discussion and vocabulary section. And then there's skills groups where they work in a small group developing those pre-reading skills, those early literacy skills. And it's centered around these, I think there's 6 domains throughout the school year. So we're working on domain 1, which is all about me. And so during the listening and learning, we've been reading a lot of books about the human body, learning the names of body parts and what they do, and inside parts versus outside parts. There's also a nursery rhyme that we learn every few days that goes with the learning. So we've been doing head, shoulders, knees, and toes, for example. And then in skills group, the things that we're starting the year with are making vertical strokes using paint or markers. So kind of a pre-handwriting skill. They've been working on differentiating sounds. So playing little games where I might play an instrument in a box and they have to guess which one it is, or listening for words if they're the same or different. So beginning to build that phonological awareness of hearing sounds, and then working on recognizing their name in print. And picking it out of a group of names. And right now their name has a picture, and I'll slowly take that away, and learning the initial letter of their name. So there's a little bit of letter recognition starting with their name. And then they've been working on making the letters out, writing them, making them out of Play-Doh. So a lot of sensory hands-on learning. There's also play centers that are part of the CKLA program, and kind of a little bit up to the teacher to figure out what that looks like. So the students do get playtime, and that's a lot of learning time for them when they're that young. And one of the play centers is a doctor center, which is suggested through CKLA, and it gives them an opportunity to practice that vocabulary they've been learning about the human body. And so that's been really fun, and I've been facilitating that center. And they also start the day with a circle time. So that's when we do a lot of the standard kind of preschool things, just the calendar, the weather, the days of the week, counting how many days we've been in school. And we do our nursery rhyme that goes with our learning at that time as well. And we're learning each other's names. And then we also do Haggerty, which is another core curriculum, adopted curriculum that we do in Moldown. And it's a mini lesson that focuses on phonemic awareness and phonics. So we do this like little 10-minute engaging lesson as well. And then other than that, they've been working on learning the school rules, just how to be in school, how to make a line, how to share, how to solve problems with each other. So a lot of that social emotional learning that I'm working on with them. And yeah, it's just a really sweet group of kids and a lot of fun in there. So feel free to come by and visit anytime. You're welcome. So. Oh, and also we are doing assessment right now as well, along with the rest of the school. I think most of the school did a lot of their iReady testing last week, but I started this week because I wanted to give the kids a little more time to get accustomed to the routine. And we have a natural pausing point built in to CCALA. It has these occasional pausing points where we take a break from kind of the main structure and it's time for review or other things. And so I've been doing the early bird assessment, which is what I use for the screener. And I'll be doing that for my benchmarking 3 times a year so that I have that data to show growth. And so the kids are doing a great job, I think, learning how to be independent, work on their independent little skills while I'm meeting with a student. And so we've been practicing that as well. Are there any questions?
I missed it. How did you qualify to be in the program?
So the original, at the beginning, they required an early education endorsement.
Okay.
And then they were finding that there was a shortage of teachers with that endorsement. And so they decided to accept teachers with a K2 or elementary endorsement. I think just a general
I'm
elementary.
sorry, I
endorsement.
didn't mean you. I think
No,
kids.
That's fine. Yeah, but that's a good question. I mean, they did change the qualifications so that there was a bigger pool of applicants.
Oh,
And that came from the state, I believe. So.
How do the kids qualify?
Oh, how do the kids qualify? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, so we did this screening in the spring and then we determined that 40% at or below 40% would show them enough at risk that they would benefit from the program. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
no, you're qualified. Like,
Okay.
40% below on the early bird. It's
Yeah,
the same.
Yeah, and there are 4 different categories, so in any of the categories. So they're letter naming, phonemic rhyming, so that's the phonemic awareness piece, vocabulary and oral sentence comprehension.
And how did did you reach out to families to recruit people to come in?
Yeah, and a lot of that was done by a lot of the people
Right,
in this
yeah.
room, not just me, but yeah, they were sending messages out to all the families through, I think, the Infinite Campus, right, Dave? And then newspapers, and there were flyers sent out to the different daycares. But I do think the program will keep growing as people understand more and more what it is and hear through word of mouth. And we can start that recruitment process earlier this year, since it was a little bit of a scramble in the spring to get someone hired and figure out the program. So.
Well, in my understanding, you can clarify too, though, in addition to what you're also gonna say, is that this was dictated by the state, correct? The deadline of that June 1st, is that accurate? Is that
Correct, that's in law, and that's the
Yeah.
interpretation of OPI is that it had to
Okay.
be completed by June 1st. That screening process in order for a student to be eligible to participate in the program.
Yeah,
So we
Maybe
followed
it
that.
was June 30th.
yeah,
Oh,
end of
sorry.
June, yeah.
June 30th, yes, June 30th, so we followed that process. In addition, we did radio announcements, so a lot of advertising, trying to make sure that information got out there, but
Yeah,
we can do that again next year.
definitely. And I'm thinking maybe a couple of informational sessions too, or I could invite parents from the community in to just learn about it in person. So I think now that we just have more time, we can boost our recruitment efforts a little bit. So.
And how many kids? I mean, obviously you have 10 and split 7-3, which, I think gave us 3. Like,
I know, they're troopers.
Like, put me in the afternoon.
Yeah.
How many kids could you have in each section? Like,
It's capped at 10 for one teacher. So if it were to get to be more than 10, then we'd need a paraprofessional in there. So
okay.
I think 10 is great. It's a great amount of kids for 4-year-olds,
Yeah.
They need a lot of teacher interaction.
100%, that's what I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so then if it became 20, somebody might just get put in a section, maybe they wasn't their first choice.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. And we had a process for determining the parents, which whether they got the morning or afternoon, we had kind of a series of steps that or lanes that they went through to kind of determine who got what, so. It's, yeah. But yeah, as we get more, it'll be a little more complicated sorting them, but we'll figure it out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is there, more curiosity.
Yeah.
than Statement.
Yeah.
But, are you seeing some within a week, maybe?
Couple
Gender
weeks, yeah.
differences, just developmentally when you look at
In
4-year-olds?
the learning, a little bit just within my group, but, a little bit, there's a little more hyperactivity with the boys in general, not everyone, but, and then with some of the girls I see just a little more reticence and shyness and some of the girls that I have, but not everyone, again, there's some very outgoing girls, but yeah, and then as far as the learning, I don't know, I think time will tell, I think it's, yeah, but they're kind of across the spectrum a little bit.
And is it an even split gender wise or just?
I think it's about even, yeah, off the top of my head, yeah. Yeah, it might be 6 and 4, so it's, yeah, close to even.
And this program goes year round.
Yes, and it follows the school calendar, it's 5 days a week.
Are they bused?
Yeah, busing is available for the in-district students and a lot of them do take advantage of it.
Is that
Especially in the
your
morning.
time to-
Yeah, exactly,
And
yeah,
is it a whole day or? half?
it's a half day, yeah, so there's a morning and an afternoon, but they're separate programs. Mhm. Any other questions? Great.
It's like a great.
Thank you.
Diving into it.
Thank you.
I love that we picked a reading curriculum that has that component in it, so good job with all of that stuff. Moving on to Moldat Elementary first day of school, experience, Mr. Coyne.
How's it going?
Thank you.
We're back. Before I introduce Erin to you here, Erin's one of our first grade teachers extraordinaire. And she's going to talk to you about the first days of school and getting the kids in and getting engaged and just kind of how it goes. But I wanted to say, this year, Kelly and I are back for round 2. And last year it was rainy and cold and the power was out and we just, well, this year it was rainy and cold and the power went out again. So now it's referred to as the coin curse. In the start of the school year. But no, it's been a great start to the school year with all the changes that have taken place with the new curriculum and the lunch schedule and our math intervention plan that we're going to put into play here real soon. And the kids and the parents and everybody have just been wonderful coming in there, all smiles and eager and energized. And I'm 4 for 5 on getting criers in the morning. So I'm really upset that I couldn't get that one, but I'm going to keep my average up as best I can. But Erin, like I said, Erin is amazing. She came to us a few years ago and has done nothing but fascinate all of us in her ability to teach, to love kids, to be flexible and do what's needed to do our jobs. And she's one of many. And I like to brag about the staff that we have because they are amazing. And so she's just an example of the amazing staff that we have at Bulldown. And so I'm going to quit talking and let her share the first grade's plan and maybe some of the routines that the other teachers follow to get those kids in and get them going because they don't waste any time. So, all right, Erin LeBaire.
Hey, thank you. Sorry, Erin, if you don't mind, do you want to just?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just before you get started, thanks for being here. I just wanted to say, as many of you know, I'm so fortunate I get the opportunity to walk around the schools and really, especially those first days of school are such a neat experience to witness across our district. Students you can see it in their faces, their eyes, and how they feel welcomed. They're engaged in learning from those very first days, and the excitement and enthusiasm that's part of them, but also our teachers. It's just something to experience. So I'm really excited to hear Erin share a little bit about that. As a representative of first grade, I have to say, because I walked down first grade the first few days of school, and it was impressive. All the teachers were engaged in lessons and really almost the exact same time I was hearing the reading lessons, I could hear the sounds from each room at the same time, so it really neat to hear, so thanks for being here.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me. Listening to Jess talk, I was like, wow, I guess it's kind of a lot like preschool. In the first days, it's really not that different. I mean, I think it starts with all of us being really excited and happy to be there. I mean, we all love summer, but we're really ready to get started. And we had a nice amount of time to really work together and plan those first few days, which really did make a difference and helped us be like really kind of on the same page. And we have some new staff members with us this year. So we really just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page and able to really help each other and support each other. And I think we did. It starts just in the morning. We go and get them outside, and half of them are trying to still kind of go to kindergarten, and then we like get them all lined up and get them in, and they've met us the night before because we have them meet the teacher, and that's really great. I love that because the night before that, you're just imagining the kids, and I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm still like, what are they going to be like? But then you meet them and you're like, oh yeah, they're adorable. I love them. So, we get to meet them the night before. So then that next morning they have somebody to recognize, helps us kind of make sure that they know where they're going. We get them all in. And really just a lot like Jess said, we're reading a lot of books about how are you a friend? How are you safe at school? What do we do to help each other? And we read a lot of different stories. We talk about our feelings on the first day and graph them. And oh my gosh, this year almost everybody was excited. Just one person was shy. Pretty cool. But that's okay if you're shy that first day. So it just kind of gets us all talking. We play a lot of name games. There's some singing and dancing, which is really fun, especially if you're not a natural singer like me. So we just sing and dance about our names and like jump into circles and like do a little dance and really just try to keep it light and fun. But at the same time, and this is kind of the balance of those first days, like it can't just all be a party because then people are thinking that's what we do here, but we're here for a reason. So we start with doing things that are really connected to kindergarten, a lot of letter writing, number writing, just on those first couple of days to get them remembering, like let's make 5. What are the different ways we can make it? Let's draw it. Let's build it. Just kind of helping them remember what it's like to do math and to write letters. Talk about the letter sounds. We started Haggerty, like just as we started that, I think the second day of school, and that's just recognizing letters and working on sounds because they do it in kindergarten and they're like, oh yeah, I know what to do. And that's just a really nice way to get everybody going and feeling welcome. And then I always like to do like a name, some kind of art with their names on the first couple of days. I did a rainbow this year. Kelsey did. Like ripping up paper and like they glue paper on their name like a little mosaic. So we're always trying to kind of do things where we're talking about people's names. Even though you say them a lot, it really does take them a while to learn each other's names, even if you're in kindergarten together. Sometimes you just forget. So, we work on that. And, where do we go in the school? We walk around, we practice walking in lines. And then we did start our CKLA right at the beginning. That's what we were doing when Dave looked out. We were doing our skills. And we did start it right at the beginning of the year because the first week is a review. Well, the whole first unit is a review of everything that they've learned in kindergarten. So it's just nice, like, hey, you guys, you kind of know how to do this already. They're building their confidence. We're doing a lot of handwriting to get them ready to write more. And that's been really great. That has been a nice thing that we've done this year. So we started with that, and then it has a week of testing just built into it. So we were able to teach for a week, and then this week we've been doing our dibbles and our iReady. Okay, you guys, now we're trying to find out what you know. This is our peek into your brain and just trying to make it not stressful and fun. I hand out Tic Tacs. They're working really hard and growing their brains. Like, your brain gonna hit the edge. Watch out. We just really try to keep it fun and playful and you know, we do more more like Go Noodles. I don't, you guys probably know what that is. It's like little videos where you like dance and like do little songs and things like that. We do more of those at the beginning of the year to kind of get them ready because they are still kind of wiggly and they've got a lot to do. We're getting used to our later lunch. First grade's got the latest lunch in school. I was nervous about it, but you know, it's worked. We have come in from specials and we have a snack, which is pretty big snack. And then they're fine. They go play recess and they come in from lunch and it's been great. I was worried, but it's been really fun. Another really big part of it is communicating with parents. And I mean, at the beginning of the year, I'm always out there in the afternoon. I'm not looking to have a conference with people, but just make eye contact, you know, smile and wave like, hey, I know you, I know your kid. Like we have fun together all day. And doing a lot of seesaw messages. We also do the first 10 days of getting along together, which is our social emotional curriculum. And we do that the first 10 days of school too. And that's all about like getting along, naming emotions, listening, learn how to do active listening, and then, which really we practice that all year. And then what happens when you don't get along, which is one of my favorite parts of GET, where they have a peace path and they learn about win-win solutions and how to talk to each other. So eventually by the middle-ish of the year, they can come in from recess and be mad. Okay, guys, go talk at the peace path. And then they'll be like, I feel mad because you stepped on my foot in line. And then somebody else will be like, I feel mad because you were too close to me. And then they can, usually the win-win is apologizing and then they move on. It's just really great because they can, you know, eventually get themselves to do that without having me have to be in there all the time. Because I could do that all day. But yeah, that's really what we do those first couple of weeks, first few days. We're on our 9th day today. I'm really trying to do a good job of keeping track of the days. Does anybody have any questions? It is fun. I mean, it is really fun. It's very tiring. I go to bed very early, but it is very fun.
I was just gonna ask about, like you had mentioned, you guys had the opportunity as a team to talk. When was that?
So in
How
our
does that work?
beginning of our first 2 days, do we have 2 days, right? I already forgot all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, our first 2 days, we didn't have a lot of meetings. We had like a staff meeting, we had actually a day to work, and then we had a staff meeting. And then previously, when we had our CKLA training, we also had a PIR day that our team chose to use and meet and really plan like when we were going to start and implement this program. And that was really instrumental in helping getting us on the same page and understanding like how we were starting. And then since we'd done that, then during the just first work days of school, we had time to like actually sit and be like, okay, but day one, what are we going to have out on their desk when they walk in, you know? So it was really great. I felt like I've been starting school for, I think like 18 years or something like that. And I feel like I was just one of the just most seamless starts that I've had. It's great.
It's great communication.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all the parents appreciate the seesaws, so.
I mean,
It's always
I
nice.
send them out.
Thanks. Great.
And thank you for being here, especially after a long day, but
Yes.
it's so fun to know, because you do wonder like,
Yeah.
how do you get them from like having fun then to learning and
Yeah, it's
all the things?
it's a delicate balance for sure.
And it's ringing, I bet you right off the bat.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
That's
Well,
tricky.
yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty proud of them. I haven't gotten any flags yet, so. I know, I should have just like. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right, moving along to. Not that. I know it was. Now we're moving on, hopefully to the last time. Whitefish High School academic expansion and athletic.
hard to follow all this.
I know, Dave, you really better get.
Starting with
going.
Jake and then I got. If you have not heard, we have WHS, an academic expansion and athletic improvement spots coming up. So, I'm excited to share the latest information about the bonds, and before I do, just a brief review for everyone. So, we do have a little flyer in the, on the agenda that addresses some of those areas. So, with the academic expansion bond, we're focused on more classrooms and labs for our growing student numbers. We have, expanded culinary arts as a part of that, renovating the independent high school, multi-purpose space expansion, enhanced STEAM facilities or STEAM academic areas and arts areas and math areas to focus on curriculum areas, upgraded science, tech, engineering, arts, and math spaces, CTE expansion. That's career, technical, and education expansion. For instance, hospitality, building trades, and of course, culinary arts that was just mentioned. And then improved safety and security. With the athletic improvements bond, we talked about the new 10-lane track that would be a part of that. New district-owned football field, new grandstands, new ticketing, concessions, and restroom facility, additional parking, and a new grass and multi-purpose fields south of that area. So those are some of the key points that we've talked about in the bonds and the literature and the information that's going on. And our main goal right now is ensuring that we get as much information out there, and that's what we've been doing. And people are already coming in and turning in their ballots. So we want to get the vote out. So the next step is a reminder to vote. We hope people get out to vote. And so the ballots must be received at the Whitefish School District no later than 8 p.m. on September 17th. So it's a reminder for all of us here and anyone who's listening. You may turn in your ballots in person from 8 to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday at 600 East 2nd Street. We are going to put out some information tomorrow to note this important point, and that is that ballots mailed tomorrow or later may not be received by the deadline on September 17th. So turning those in person may be a better approach. So, in addition, I wanted to highlight a few other things. I wanted to talk a little bit about, I'll be at the back to school bash, weather permitting. It sounds like. I hope we still have that on the middle school lawn from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday to answer questions related to the bonds. We have staff available this evening at Farmers Market again, answering any questions from the public. And then, of course, we're always here for people if they have any questions, they can reach out to us by phone or email. Just a reminder to this group and anybody who's listening that of course, these bonds are based on the feedback that we receive. We have 2 separate bonds with the same goal. That is really to provide space to learn, to play, and to grow with our community. As always, for those who may be listening, or there is more detailed information on our website. And specifically to the bonds, and we can gather information there. So any questions from the board?
Yes, you said, September 17th, 8 p.m. ballots are due, right? But is the district office gonna close at 4 that day?
No,
Sorry,
election day, we're open until 8
Until
p.m.
8, okay, thank you.
great question.
That's before cleaning them.
I had a similar question, because I see now that, is the office open till 4:30 instead of 4? Or has it always been 4:30? They can drop.
It's always been for.
Okay,
So they can drop it off up till 4:30 every day except election due date day, they can drop it off up to like 8. Okay, thank you for being open late that night.
That's a great.
and you open at 8 a.m.
Yes.
So September 17th, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I just want to thank everybody involved in this. What a Herculean effort to make this happen. Thank you.
And then also I just want to, I guess reiterate again, it's not postmarked by 9/17. This is not taxes. This has to be received by in person by 9/17. I think that's so important. I think there were quite a few we received last time that were postmarked but not received, and I think it gets confusing. So,
So, yeah, I think that's an important point, and that's why we, that messaging that we'll send out from this point on, just
Yeah.
recommending that you turn those
in person and not mail. Yeah, good idea.
just to make sure.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say, I think Dave has done quite a Herculean
Yeah.
effort. Going to all downtown, going to the markets, going any place that anyone will listen. And I really, and I think that's the truth.
It's one of those places where no one comes to listen, but you'll still show up.
Right, especially information sessions. There's been a lot.
I know. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for doing that.
I will say, I thank you for that, and I appreciate though that I really have appreciated this opportunity. It's been a great opportunity to get out into the community and have conversations, and a lot of conversations about our schools, what we're doing. I think it's something we want to continue. If we can have a little booth at the farmer's market from time to time in August, I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, share out some information and answer questions people have about our schools. I think that's a great way to connect with the community.
That's what people talk to you about things besides the farm, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
This is a nice opportunity to invite, but
Yeah.
that's great. Thanks for doing
Thank
it.
The two biggest compliments I've heard is the communication is 1,000 times better this time around, and the fact that everyone listened to the vote from last time, how it was split and I just think that people are very pleased with how it was presented.
The marketing stuff, that it has been so much clearer in the messaging. I've gotten that feedback, like, oh, now I understand why you want that football field, because you don't actually own it. I guess before I just. Yes.
Yeah.
2 years. Yes, that is correct.
Well, the problem is,
great.
the problem is, the assumption is that we don't. They think that we own
Absolutely,
where they're playing and we don't.
as you would. And then the track is like, especially if you don't travel to other schools, you know,
Uh-huh.
this is what you, yeah. And I think the feedback too, that the track will be open to the public still, you know, I think those things matter a lot, clarifying.
Mhm.
So thank you for getting the message out.
Yeah, we're just definitely, so, yeah, thank you.
And Beth Blair has done a fine job too. That's, you know,
Yes.
blasting the airways.
Yes.
Any other questions for Dave or Lucy about what's going on?
Want to bring you a pizza or something on election day? Like Mr. You know, actually, the food on election day is really good. Because we always, the food service director, Donald Flanagan, yes, always brings breakfast, lunch and dinner. The election judges now for me, and it's really.
Well, great. That makes me feel better.
Yes.
Good.
So it's great that we're using our own kitchen. We don't go out and purchase things, and it's much better than going out and getting a takeout.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a long day. She's great.
Yeah, we have some great chefs.
Great.
That's wonderful.
How many judges do you have? The minimum required is 3. Okay. We usually have 4, but next week we'll have 3.
Okay.
1 cannot make.
Good job maintaining relationships with these people too,
Yes.
see.
Yeah, it is 3, meaning it will take longer to count. Yeah.
Thank you.
Will you get those ballots in the back?
All right, the Jazz Band MOA, Dave, take it away.
Thank you. Before you can see the Jazz Band MOA, this is the same MOA that you had last school year that you voted on. So there are no changes to this MOA. We intended to have this part of our interest-based bargaining discussion last year, but just really never got to. So we intend to again this next coming year, talk about it in that to consider including it within the collective bargaining agreement. But at this time, in order to continue this program, get this approved, but any questions?
I just had a question because I was wondering about that. How many years have you done this? You know, off the top of your head,
This
roughly.
specific one, this is just the second year.
Oh, it is,
We've had
okay,
some different versions
okay.
of this in this format.
For the
This is
jazz
second
bands
year.
specifically. Oh,
Are you worried about the MOA, or are you wondering about having jazz band like as an early?
no, the MOA for the jazz band. Yeah,
Okay.
just wondering how long it had not justified, but like needed this. Just curious.
We've
Worked.
had them in different formats before, but this is specific way. This is our second year.
Or any other clarifying questions? Any public comment? I'll pack to the board for any further discussion or motion.
I move we approve that MOA for Jasmine.
Yes, seconded. Moved by Rainey and seconded by Katie, all in favor? That is everybody, thank you all. Moving right along, we have a couple out of district students.
Yeah, so we have two out of district students and administration recommends approval of these enrollment applications. These students represent a student in kindergarten, one in high school. I believe a junior.
Clarifying questions? Public comment? Back to the board for a discussion or a motion. We approve the out of district students. Second, moved by Lindsay, seconded by Katie, all in favor? That is everybody, Lucy. Thank you. We're moving right along to recommendations for hire.
Yeah, so you can see the recommendations for hire for in front of you. We have crossing guards, special education paraeducators, as well as our new teacher mentors. So they get a stipend, so they're hired into those stipend positions. So there's a list there for you as well as some substitute teachers as well. Question?
Before we had discussed, what the requirements were for mentoring. And did we, upgrade any of that or change any of those requirements?
Requirements.
Well,
Oh,
we had talked about, you know, reporting the number of times you met and, you know, a little bit more than the initial week to get them started.
I think there have been some work on that. I don't know the exact details of those right now. There has been some work that we set up with the mentors on that.
Jerry, I will.
Yeah, Lisa, do you want to?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, please do.
Can interject?
Please.
Yes, that is one of my goals, is to be more involved with their mentors, and I have a plan to bring them together in the month of September and go over those roles and responsibilities with their mentees, and then check in with them periodically. Any other questions?
I had that same question. But I remember, yeah. I was like, hey,
Good job, people's memories up your eyes board. Yeah.
Yeah.
I obviously can't know about it. I just remember, because I remember, yeah.
Is there any public comment? Back to the board for discussion or a motion. I move that we accept the recommendation for hires. Thank you. Moved by Elizabeth, seconded by Rainey, all in favor? That is everybody. I'm just sad to see that's the only I'm gonna see Josh out there in the morning anymore.
Oh, crossing guard.
Once interested.
Oh,
I feel like there's a couple pairs who have now taken over crossing guard.
We've slowly distributed crossing guard.
It's not fancy, it's like, hey, it's really good. Oh, God, when I see that, I'm always like, oh, that means there's a real rough day. That's what I usually think. Okay, well, that was fun. Thank you, everybody. On to trustee announcements. First of all, I wanted to go over, kind of just reflect back on our board retreat last month, I guess that's last month now. And one of the things we talked about with Bia was our school visits and just kind of how we were doing them. And we told her how we were doing them. I think her eyes about popped out of her head. And that wasn't great. That was hysterical. Which we all do love that about Bia.
We do.
That's the best. So I wanted to just, I mean, I have some ideas, but I was wondering if anybody else had any, or I can tell you what I was thinking, but then we could also talk about what everyone else had. So basically what she said is we should kind of just split up and 2 trustees or 3 go to one building and then can report back. Principal or administration would lead us around, and it's really more of a building check than it is, and a fidelity check than it is, you know, go around to classrooms and visit like we've been doing. So it's gonna be a real change for how we've been doing things. And, but I was thinking the efficiency standpoint of it is gonna be very welcome, I think, for not only the trustees, but also for the administrators. So my suggestion would be that I can easily make a chart and assign 2 trustees per building, and we can talk, then get some times from admin that would work for them, and then make sure they work for trustees, and then 2 trustees can go to a building and then come back and during trustee announcements can report back on what they saw, and make sure kids are learning and engaged and the buildings are still standing, and those kinds of things that works for everybody. Or what are your thoughts? What did you guys hear?
That's what I was, yeah, I think that's great.
I think,
Go ahead.
oh, how often do these?
We just do it once a year.
Once a year, it's required by law once a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so we used to do them in well, we've always done them in October. And, but we would, pretty much we would have a list, and so we'd go 2 or 3 trustees at a time. And each trustee would try to go to all 3 buildings, and then you would sit down with the administrator and then tour around the building and walk around and maybe visit with teachers, or sit down and watch some students work, or kind of meander throughout the classrooms. And so depending on what your schedule is like, who you work, it could take 30 minutes, or something might take a couple hours. So it could be pretty time intensive, and definitely for the administrators, because they were sitting down with like 3 different groups of trustees. So it was really it.
Our interpretation was that each trustee had to visit each building,
Right.
which meant that each administrator had to meet with like all 7 trustees at some point. And then,
Which difference
and
with
all 7,
what boards have found in the past, that it was a collective effort, that the
Right.
board needed to, be not each.
so
Yeah,
it's just evolved.
that's always determined in years past.
But now we understand we can divide and conquer,
So that
which
was,
sounds great.
yeah. Which also makes sense, because I've always been like, how do boards do this in bigger districts? Like, we could do this here.
150 schools.
Right.
Yeah, like, how do
Yeah.
boards do this when they have
They would still have to visit.
bigger, you know?
I would say I like that, you know, scaffolding, like, I think that sounds great. I think it would be nice if we also then just agreed upon like a set of things that each group that went to each building, so it was consistent. Like what we like, we either asked or we look for, like, just, and then when we report back, it will have some like, I mean, Jake has set a high bar for us.
Do you have a rubric? I can
That
borrow?
was really great.
Thank you.
So we
We'll
we
conference call
developed a
tomorrow.
rubric for like what we should, you know, and also just, it's exciting and you're around, it's like, oh, I should have looked at this. Like, it's nice to have something that's like a
Yeah, yeah.
list that you're just like, oh, I should check that, but I forgot, or I didn't have time, or I think that especially if you transition to a new format, that might be helpful as each group has consistency. You know, you may only thought,
Like when we say report back or perfect what, maybe
Yeah.
I would have ideas.
Yeah.
about that.
Did you have things that you're thinking of, or maybe you want to email me?
not really, but I think, yeah, I think we could all just share it, like, just basic stuff, like you said, mentioning, for one of the things we're supposed to look at is building, like, okay, well, does the building look safe and secure? Yes. Does the building look welcoming? Yes, like, so it goes along with our strategic plan and what our role
Yeah.
is in the district, keeping it that. And also, yeah, just then fun little anecdotes that we noticed is also great, but I think there's a structure of an intention behind the visit. Yeah, that's universal, so keeps us on track a little bit, especially as new trustees come in and out. I just remember, that's how I started all this, because I remember vividly being like, what are we doing? Like, this is great, but am I doing it? Like, I don't know, like, yeah.
I think it's also a good time for the administrators to point out like pinch points, like
Yes.
this area of
exactly.
the hall is where we're having a problem with this.
Yeah.
And so we're not surprised when all of a sudden a request comes to us, and well, the building's not big enough.
Yeah,
Right.
We were
yeah, we
told.
saw that.
And so that would be what I'd like to see from the admin is for them to say.
Yeah.
You know, this is a
Check it.
potential later problem area, or this is, you know,
Yeah.
something we need.
Yep, and like creative solutions like the lunch change,
Yeah.
like I think that's kind of interesting, then maybe to see how that flows or whatever, those things are that we are problem solving. They work so hard at every day in the trenches, like give them an opportunity to highlight it, this was a problem, here's how we, those kind of things, I think would be also. So reaching out to admin as well as what day works good for them. Yeah. I think that would be not just for us, but like, because sometimes there's fun things going on that it's. Would make it more fun for them than just a tour to highlight their building, you know, so. I would, but those are just my thoughts on it.
I think that's great. I think the in-person checklist is great. I mean, that's one of the things when we worked on like the superintendent evaluation.
Yeah.
That was one of the things we wanted to do was like have something in perpetuity, right? So
Yes,
that whoever
exactly.
filling these seats has this game plan.
Yeah.
Like a path forward. So that would be the same. So if you have any suggestions,
Oh,
something
yeah.
comes in your head,
Yeah.
just email me,
Share it. Yeah.
as to what you would like to see on the checklist. Just
Start
start
thinking.
working.
Yeah.
That would be great. Any other thoughts on this? Okay, cool, thanks, that's gonna be fun. Level up project, thank you guys. And so those will take place in October. That's lots of time to work on my list, October.
Lots of time to make sure lunch and recess looks great, but.
Nothing. Really, it's the drop off at.
That time.
The other thing after our meeting with Bia, we talked about, because one of the things we did during our tours was we talked, I mentioned about. Big guy over here, part of our 360 review was trying to, that was how we kind of did a review on Dave, because that's how we know how Dave, or the superintendent, not just Dave, any superintendent who's sitting here. Since we're not working with them on a daily basis, how do we know how they're doing? So that was the time to get feedback from administrators on the superintendent, and again, Bia's eyes about popped out of her head. And so she suggested doing a survey that she has done with other schools in the past, and through Survey Monkey that she has, that she can fully facilitate through her office. And so that's something that we were thinking about implementing this year. So that would no longer be part of our discussion with the administrators. Asking them in a real intimate setting, how there's immediate supervisors doing. And so with that in mind, we would need to pull together superintendent evaluation committee. So that would be Katie, myself, and Shannon. So if we could get together, maybe throw out some dates when that might work.
Okay. For me, Friday and Wednesday are best.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday is probably. good. I work mostly mornings now from like 3 AM to 10 or 11, so most of the days are now a little better.
Do you do Wednesday 2 hours? Wednesday mornings? Oh, you switched.
I miss Tuesday morning, yes.
Okay.
I think I miss more than me.
So I'm just wondering, do you guys want to schedule something now, or is that too aggressive?
Yeah.
Do we want to do the 25th? I think trying to do something the 18th seems not fun. Yeah.
I'm out of town meeting.
Okay,
I'm
good.
going to that sped thing.
Oh, that's right. Do you want to do the 25th? Yeah, September 25th, Wednesday. How's your schedule that day? It would be in the afternoon because Shannon's working from 3 AM to 10 AM.
Roughly.
Roughly.
But do you want to take it?
I don't take
Yeah,
it.
what's better?
Like, do you want to do, could you do 11?
I can do that.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Right after. Okay.
Is that
I
what?
can
It's not a hard time that I get up, it's just sometimes it goes till 3 in the afternoon, so I just put a meeting on my calendar and then I won't.
But 11:05 would be maybe. So let's do that.
11 o'clock.
And we'll just and then if we had any other, updates we wanted to put on. Yeah, because then we can bring it to the October business meeting. Perfect. If we had any other, changes we wanted to make to the evaluation from last year. It's,
And this is the superintendent meeting, right?
yes, so Wednesday, September 25th at 11 a.m.
I
Thank you.
have nothing on the calendar.
Oh, well, I'm happy to be here for your appointment. That's great. Okay, that's all I have for trustee announcements. Is there anything else?
Nope, other than I'm heading to Seattle. Second,
Yay.
Bellevue.
You had so much fun.
Yeah. Hope I learn. Yeah,
Will you remind us what you're going for, Shane?
I went for the special ed law conference.
Great.
So to learn about special ed law, which would be an area of interest in laws and area of interest in. This will be completely new. So this will be. This will be being fire really quick, which is great. That's how I like.
It's fire, awesome.
Yeah. So that's that's gonna be it'll be interesting. So hopefully I'll come back with some.
Enlightening information.
And it
Yeah,
sounds
we'll
like,
go there. Like,
and this probably goes along with this, we're updating a few things with. Like,
We've already gone through that.
Oh, so.
Meeting, just recently. Updated some of our procedures. But yeah, we're always updating things. So,
Yeah.
And, Via really watches that closely in the Northwest, and that's what this is, the Northwest Institute, which does a great job. I've been to these. It's actually one of my favorite conferences to go to.
It
People
sounds
are
like it'll
very
be just
knowledgeable.
full of policy wonks. So I will right at home.
Wait, only Shannon is gonna be the one who's like this. During the
Well,
book.
thank you for representing us. I mean, I think that is knowing about the award was impressive.
And I'll be working.
Yes.
You gotta do it.
Thank you so
Somebody
much.
has to be by the end.
You are the person.
Thank you for going.
And we
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Shannon. Anything else from the trustees?
I would just like to, along the theme of the start of the night as well, is just congrats to all the buildings and district for really everything, the feedback we usually, like anything, like you hear when it doesn't go as smooth as you hoped. So it's been pretty quiet. So I feel like that's always a good indication that things are at least on the customer service side of it appear to be going very smooth and well oiled. So kudos to everybody that does all that extra work and like they shared, having that opportunity, to meet the teachers, I think really do value that time to meet ahead of time. And I know that's tempting to schedule so many other things on top of that. So just really helps everyone totally.
So, especially those little kids who are so nervous.
And I'm sure everyone's tired, so it's hard. First couple weeks is hard. So thank you guys. Sure, thanks you. Thanks the village.
All right, Dave.
Okay. Just to continue on the line of conferences and things, I thought it was just interesting. I just wanted to share with this group. I'm not sure I'll be able to attend or not. So be appropriate, but I've been invited to attend very interesting conference about mental health in the schools, leadership, and resort communities. So
Talk about specifically.
Yeah, that's.
So it's in Jackson Hole.
Why would you not? And it's free.
It is free.
Oh.
Should go.
Oh,
But
you
it's
better
neat
go.
to, and it's a sponsored by a few different organizations, but one of them is the Superintendent's Association. And for the country, and that organization creates cohort groups, and it's kind of neat that they're doing this. It's, Aspen, guys, Whitefish was included in that, Big Sky, near folks.
I mean, housing take a lot, like they've got it.
And yeah, so, and some of the topic areas are housing.
Yeah.
And handling all of these issues that you face, the diversity, the extremes of that.
Yeah.
So, it's just interesting, so let you know, it's kind of an interesting.
That'll let you know what I'm gonna say no to.
Well,
We did it.
it's in November.
Really should be.
It's in the shoulder. It should be in February. It's the reason it's free is because it's in the shoulder season.
Yeah.
It's probably very.
And it could
Is
be
it
cold.
aligning to your? You have to go.
A big part of it is mental health in schools, and actually, I think one of the things I wanted to highlight is that it's interesting that resort communities and
Yeah.
have a higher level of mental health issues than people realize. There's actually some statistics that are connected to that, so interesting topic. All right. All right, so I'm gonna jump into a few topic areas. I really am not gonna go over the calendars and upcoming meetings, events, and important dates.
Jacob's name.
Jake, on,
Yeah, I know.
unless you have any questions. Got some exciting things coming up. We've got the back to school bash, which you talked about, but also, there's a football game this Friday. We got volleyball tonight.
Soccer tonight.
Oh, soccer tonight.
Volleyball as well.
Volleyball too as well, yeah, so lots of times in terms of activities like that as well, so good stuff. It does say update on accreditation standards, that's from a past agenda, but it actually is an important topic because I want to touch on, it because we are, the state is again renewing their accreditation standards and updating their guidelines on accreditation for this school year compared to last school year. So we'll be hearing more about that, and they will be sharing that with you. So, Lori Barron, who was on Good Morning America today, speaking about a mental health grant that they were awarded, will be representing superintendents on accreditation standards.
Are they trying to get more user friendly?
Is this in response to?
I hope.
About the.
Making some.
Okay.
Would they ever make it more user friendly?
So there's Board of Public Education is also meeting in Livingston, I think, early next week to talk about the feedback regarding the accreditation process that they received, what I shared, as well as some other superintendents shared this summer. And they directed the Board of OPI to make some changes to it, so that's what this is kind of an ongoing process. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna touch base also on enrollment, and then before I do that, though, we have transfers that you can see there that we want to keep you up to date with. So, and resignations. So, enrollment this time of year is very interesting. If you look at the details of this, you can see at the very bottom of this page, you can see that it just changes so much at this time over the summer. It is so hard to track. And that's why this is not the best time to really make a determination what your enrollment's gonna be. We look at October as our best indicator of our enrollment. And that's why the state uses October as enrollment count as well. That's because it starts to stabilize around that time. But you can see that we had 250 students move into our district. Now that,
It's like,
just think about that for just a second. 120 of those are kindergarten. But still, you take the rest of those,
it's 10th grade.
moved into our district.
Is this, greater than earlier years when we didn't have out of district students?
It's a little more than sometimes recently, but we see that kind of change over the summer. But 70 moved, right? So they're moving to different parts of the country. So that's that fluctuation that's so hard to predict. And that's why I think sometimes when we look at this information about growth in our district and trend lines, we're looking at it over the long term period. Because we're going to see ups and downs in enrollment. Right now, we're seeing that. We're seeing a little bit less in some overall and at the high school right at the moment, or very similar numbers at the high school. But for instance, when we go to next school year, at the high school, we have 181 students, 8th grade right now. So 630 students enrolled in September at the high school. That may change in October. So if you think about 181 students as 8th graders, 124 students, seniors graduating, 181 changing, so about 50 or more students moving in. We're going to be approaching 680 to 700 students at the high school division. So, but we're going to see these fluctuations up and down. It's the long-term trend line we're going to watch. That's going to really increase that high school enrollment growth significantly. The rate of growth is at 2.74% now. That could, this year it may stabilize or it may be slightly less, but the next year it's likely to go way up because we see that increase. So just some information about that. Again, we'll be watching those closely. But again, we're seeing a lot of in and out of our district. But more in than out.
You know, did we track homeschool before, like it is right now? I'm sure we did.
It's tracked for us.
Because they have to register with the state or county. Okay.
So we had that statistical report.
Okay.
And that comes out in November.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm curious.
We do have some partial enrollments this year, so that's an increase. That's an option provided by the legislature.
So when they do a partial, is it usually for academics or is it usually for like special, I mean, like art, music?
There's a lot of different examples of partial enrollment. One can be just for activities. That's not really enrollment, but they can participate in activities. One can be part of the day. It has to add up to a certain number of hours over the school year in order for them to enroll. And usually that's 1 to 2 classes, depending on what grades we have. So we have some that are half time. The important thing to note too is early literacy is on this this enrollment chart for you, and it says 10. And that is the enrollment. That is an A and B number. We get funding for that. I think it just makes sense to roll that in our total enrollment. They are enrolled in our district, like any other student. So I throw that out to the group. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it takes resources, it takes a teacher, it's the same thing as any other class.
So for purposes of putting it on this spreadsheet, then what we would then, the next ones, we would just include them in the total.
Great. It's just gonna take my eyes a little bit to get used to like that it's not. It's like,
Yeah.
that's what I was like, wait, what? Yes, no, absolutely, we should.
When you're looking at.
Cause I'm like,
right.
it's kind of funky.
You know
how
what they
it-
should do? They should just put a blank line in there.
Yeah,
Blank
that's a good
row,
solution.
Put it in there.
right? Like a blank in this K,
Like
above
K,
the K,
yeah.
so when you can look across, you're looking evenly.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's like-
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Very
Yeah, so it's easier to track.
Yeah, that way you're looking.
Interior.
Yeah, I get off.
Yep.
Thank you. So this is solutions. I think that, 9th grade gets the award for the most diverse places of new enrollments coming from. It's a close second from maybe 6th grade.
Bermuda.
Pretty diverse. What I think goes against what we talked about, the transition of starting the school year is you have all these new kids coming and who aren't familiar with our district, and families that aren't familiar with the district, so it's a heavy lift, so.
I know, that's a lot of in process.
A lot. Yeah,
Or maybe they are familiar with it, that's why they're coming in ninth grade.
right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a perfect kind of transition style. Really. If you're gonna move to a new,
You wanna be in a
Joining
accredited
high
high
school.
school, like, yeah.
We're not sure how many did not return in fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah,
Where do they
at
go?
fourth grade line.
Not sure how many fourth or fifth graders got returned.
That's where it gets really complicated when we're transitioning between buildings and tracking where they went and where they are. And kind of keep them.
they
Right.
just didn't find the building.
Yeah, like.
They left, but we don't know,
Finding it
right?
on the way back.
Because they transition, it's tough, right,
Okay.
and secretaries to track all that. So that's one of the things that we've debated in the past, whether or not the September one is one we should be
Yeah, cause it's hard to.
put out, because it's really
It's
hard.
hard to
Yeah.
figure.
But I think it's, I'm glad that you did, because in this discussions about the bond, I think it's important for people to see what the numbers are and what the numbers are gonna be next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, as people who are in charge of sort of making the products and knowing where people who want to come here, people who choose to leave our district, like it's just good feedback to see all that information of where they came from or where they go to, that specifics is really helpful. I'm sure it's very hard to gather, and inconsistent. Because people have to tell you or whatever, but, so thanks for including that information as well.
And you'll notice, if you were to count every single one of these and which one went where.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't,
It may not.
it just gives a good
Yeah,
look of
that- That's
it.
more of a broad information.
Like how many are going to homeschool, how many are coming back from homeschool, how many, yeah, I think it's just general. How many are within the valley, how many are out of state, it's just helpful.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because you can see that they're coming in when they're coming from there in Bissell and, Fish Academy.
Yeah.
And you can see that influx coming in.
Yeah, actually point that out that, typically, it's not just only Bissell, and hopefully you can see that in our ninth grade this year. Where they come from, you can see that's from all over, actually.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that's interesting is that I mentioned 181 students in fifth grade, typically we can 15 to 20 on top of that. So that freshman group could be moving up to 200 students, which would be, I think, a record.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we'll ever have that many kids.
No one's getting fair today.
Oh, correct.
Roads are gonna be rough.
There's gonna be some lights going down.
Taylor Swift tickets.
Mars will get in. They're gonna like get into every class. Even though they've already got their license. Oh.
And kind of. point
Of
one
course,
more
sorry,
thing. It's
Dave.
kind of interesting too, if you look at this closely, we've talked a lot about how we're seeing an increase at the middle school.
Yeah.
And high school. And not only do you see that just kind of in the numbers, but you, in general. But you see it, in the move-ins, right? So you look at 6, 12 students, you look at 7, 17 students, so forth. So it's indicated in what's happening.
That's definitely a consistent trend.
Yeah, yeah.
He's proving himself.
Does. Yeah. Thank you, David.
Which begs the question. We're assuming the bond passes with what, 2 years before we move into that?
Right.
What do we do with 680 kids?
That's good, that question. Yes, we've been talking about. We've had some
Maybe a
discussions already, and part of that might be looking at schedules.
Or potentially 700.
Right.
Yeah.
700 students. Yeah, that'd be a lot to accommodate.
It gets interesting.
Interesting.
Thanks for hanging in there, guys, sorry.
Yeah.
We know this is the worst part for you. I mean, it might all be bad for you, I don't know. Lucy, the best part is Lucy's part though, so I'm glad you stuck around. I'm sorry, Dave, you were done. Okay.
Thank you, Darcy. So one thing I wanna say about this financial report. I prepared it in a record short time, because the majority of my time is school dedicated to the elections.
Yes.
So this was, I put this together in a very short time. I'm really proud of this. So, one, the highlight of this month's report, I think, is to mention the spending down of the SL.
Great job.
You see, we still have $3,200 dollars left. Well, that was at the time of this report, that money is already gone as of today.
Wow.
So after 3 years of ESSER funding from the federal government, those funds have been spent to the last dollars.
Good.
And we cannot be more grateful for those additional funds during those difficult times. It was really helpful. Our monthly reports for the general fund and all the other funds. You can see that the performance is pretty consistent with prior years for this time of the year. Meaning only 2 months into the fiscal year. Any questions?
Thanks for your efforts.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for spending that money. And as I look at some of these reports that are definitely coming out, and I know, I think the state superintendent is planning a town hall or some sort of meeting about some schools who didn't spend their money, or there's like leftover money that didn't get spent, and I just don't understand. I've just been so confused, and I just can't imagine being one of those districts that wasn't able to figure out how to spend. And also, I think we've talked about this before, also making sure we aren't falling off a cliff.
Right.
So we were able to spend it, but spend it in a very smart, intentional way without getting ourselves in a dilemma of, yeah.
Think forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not having to, have teachers that we can't rehire, or, different things like that, so.
With so many districts who are having so many problems.
Right.
Thank you.
We appreciate you two for making sure that we don't.
Lisa wants to, I call her
I just-
Lisa.
I wanted to let you know, the superintendent of public instruction did have $1 million. And they put out an email to all teachers in the state of Montana that they would give $500 grants for reading and math projects. And we had a number of Whitefish teachers apply, and
Maybe that's what, okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Cool. Do you help them read those grants? How does that work? Really grant writing.
it was pretty simple.
It was a pretty easy.
It was
like-
a pretty simple application.
Okay.
that They had to do, they partnered with Donors Choose. I sent out all the information. They put in what they wanted. A number of teachers requested trade books that went with the new core reading program in schools. Because those weren't included in their purchase, and they were able to get that. So, yeah, I can think of a number of teachers that received those grants, so they were really tickled.
Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah.
Nice to get some positive news from Helena. Yeah. Thank you. So, sure. Yeah, hold on, sorry, Lucy, were you done?
Was done.
Okay.
Just to follow up on what you're saying about the guy that, those funds go out, just a little bit different aim. Those funds could have been distributed to schools throughout the state. In an equitable manner that will allow schools to spend those funds appropriate ways for their districts. It's a great example of last minute reaction. Not distributing these funds equitably.
And putting work on teachers to apply for that.
They have been a district that had the teachers, that had the knowledge, that had the time.
Or
Or
have
the
curriculum
curriculum
director,
director,
that lets you
yeah.
know that this is happening, so.
Yeah, there were
Sorry.
things I would have really wanted to purchase, but I couldn't.
Right, because of this process.
Yeah, because of the way
It's not
it's bypassing right to teachers.
At a time when we're trying to, we're funding and making sure that all districts in the state are funded. Appropriate rates, so it's been a great opportunity.
Well, and particularly with the budget shortfalls that so many districts have had, this could have been a way to help them. Make some of that out.
I mean, this is gonna sound really horrible, but it wasn't a lot, it was $1 million. Like,
It's
Yeah.
true, it would-
it wasn't a lot of money to probably really help bail anybody out of the hole, but it could have been.
500 districts, 100.
Yeah, wouldn't have.
It wouldn't have gone far, but it could have probably, they could have probably done something better. You're right, it is probably like, oh gosh, we got this extra money, we should do something. Lottery, for sure. So I'm glad that we have people who are paying attention though. It shows
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
I sent out multiple emails.
I think it's because Lisa paid
Take
attention.
But yeah, they showed that we have people paying attention, which is awesome. I just knew there was something going on, and I just assumed that, that's, so. Good job, Lisa. Good job, district. Yes. Good job, teachers. For taking the
Yeah.
time to find the free money and take advantage of it. So, thank you, Lucy. Thanks for. We're gonna miss this report. Guess we get one more, huh? One October report with all full circles and then it's gone.
No more
I'll
pies.
come up with other pies.
Oh, good, we love the visuals.
That's easy.
Okay, great.
Lucy could just bring one.
You could bring a pie.
You could just bring one.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
Great idea. Thank you. All right, on to the consent agenda. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve it.
Hold on, I got a public comment. Did I say public comment? No, public comment? Okay, now you can approve it.
Okay, move to approve it. I second.
Moved by Katie, seconded by Quincy, all in favor? Yes, everybody, one last motion. Richard, second, moved by Quincy, seconded by Katie, all in favor? That's everybody, thank you. Yeah. Oh, yours, that is sweet.